Thank you so much. Great, great. Let's get started. All right, all right. So we are all on Twitter. So feel free to share some love to our TDeFi and all our speakers on the panel while we are on the stage, while we are in the audience seat. Okay, let's get started. So today we're gonna talk about the bull run narrative for the next cycle. I think everyone is very interested because now we are in a bear market. So what could potentially be the next bull run narrative? And usually the billionaires are conceived in bear markets. So, at this time, we should all do our research and try to learn as much as possible and try to contribute as much as possible so we can capture really the alpha for the next bull run. So without further ado, let's get started. I will do sorry. I'll do a brief intro of myself and also then our guests Tarusha and Fernando can also introduce themselves a little bit. So my name is Belinda Zhou. I'm the founding partner of Sharding Capital. Sharding is a pretty Web3 name. It's a scaling technology proposed by Vitalik. We have Web3 venture fund focused on consumer-facing infrastructure and applications. And we are based in Dubai, but we have team members all over the world. And we're currently hiring. So if you're interested in getting a job, let us know. Yeah, so we look at a lot of like a project at the moment, and I will share more alpha like what we are looking at the moment. Now let's have the stage for Tarusha.
Hi, thank you so much for all being here so early. I'm Tarusha. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Unifarm, and we are also working on dApps, which is a decentralized app store. Think app store plus dev tools all enrolled into one. And I'm really happy to be here and to talk about something that we are all waiting for at the edge of our seats. So I think this is going to be an interesting conversation.
Hi all. Can you hear? Yeah. To my mouth. Okay, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is José Pereira, and I lead investments at Caerus. We are a brand new fund backed by NEAR, the NEAR Foundation, NEAR Protocol, and the genesis of the fund was thinking on the question: we're trying to onboard the next billion users to Web3, and we need to go where these people are. And we think it's going to be entertainment and culture. So we have strong conviction on that creators, talent, IP, they are the people that drive our cultural agendas, and they deserve greater equity in this value that they create. And we're looking at companies that solve the gulf that is between these creators and the end consumer. Right now, there's many layers of intermediaries, and yeah, that's something that Web3 is disrupting. And as a venture capital fund, we're looking for investments all the way from pre-seed to Series A and tokens as well.
Thank you, Tarusha and Fernando. So I guess Fernando already explained a little bit what is bull run narrative. If you think back in 2021, NFT was a bull run, was a like bull narrative for 2021, and now 2022, I don't think there is a bull market at the moment. So let's predict what's the bull run narrative for 2023 or 2024. So yeah, like I would love to hear your any thoughts before I share my own. Maybe we start with Tarusha.
So, you kind of gathered it, right? Okay, can you hear me? Okay, cool. So NFTs perhaps were, the name of the game until last year. But I think in the coming years, obviously in 2024, we are looking at the Bitcoin halving. So that would be one push. But in 2023, I'm looking at more of adoption. So that is why this time around in GITEX, you see a lot of metaverse companies, gaming companies, and that is how essentially you will get the users in Web3. So, any app that is basically trying to create a seamless or invisible experience for Web3, that is going to be drawing out the adoption. And I feel that would be the precursor to the next bull run. The adoption aspect, the ease of use aspect. I think those are the things that will really kickstart and ensure that there are more people coming on board onto Web3 and more people using it with ease. Because see, when you're using, say, like an Instagram or even if you're downloading any application in a Play Store or an App Store, the people who are actually downloading this, they don't necessarily understand how the internet works, but they're using it, right? Because it's solving a problem for them, or it's scratching an itch for them. So I think games, metaverse, very immersive experiences, all of this would lead to the next bull run.
Just as a context, I think that when we think about the next bull run, we have to think macro and understand what's happening with the risk spectrum and all money moving from crypto back into US dollar, US treasuries. And we are probably going to stay in this area for a while until a lot of things sort out so that we can go back into a risk on environment. If closer. So, but if I had to choose one narrative, I would say the creator economy is one that I think is going to be flipped upside down, because as we've seen since the pandemic, the number of creators is unlimited. Anyone that has a phone can now create viral content, but at the same time, the number of viewers and consumers is limited. So platforms that use tokens to incentivize behavior in a certain way, I think are going to come and disrupt the apps that we use every day on the Spotify, YouTube, the same way that Brave is doing to Google Chrome.
Awesome, awesome. So basically, creator economy, applications with ease of user interface. So in my opinion, there's a word called Web 2.5. We talk about Web 2, we talk about Web 3, and there's a word called Web 2.5. So basically, that's the applications that marries the ease of UI UX from Web 2 companies, and then the decentralization ownership merits of Web 3. Because when you think about it, not a lot of data or transactions need to be on chain. So those parts can be done by Web 2, like applications comfortably. And then we just need the decentralization or ownership of the data, of the NFT, etc., on the app. So Web 2.5, personally, I think is gonna take off. It's gonna onboard the next billion users, and then to put it in a more detailed view, we can see, like, for example, I think GameFi could potentially be very powerful. Yesterday, Yasu also talked about metaverse and GameFi at this stage. Actually, I think GameFi is gonna onboard the next billion users, but they need to find a nicer way. Like now, a lot of GameFi projects are just, I would say, it's bad. It's bad. It's just some small gaming studio try to scam money. So make sure you don't just randomly invest into any random GameFi project. But yeah, so I think Web 2.5. And then me personally also looking at some SDK middleware project, because what they are trying to do is to find a niche market and then become the interface so that they can lower the barrier of entry for normal users into like Web3 applications. So they're also gonna be like a very helpful in onboarding new users and capturing the traffic. Yeah, and I think the next bull run is gonna be like the companies with proper business model and proper monetization strategy, because you can't be just like 2018 or 2020 when you launch your token and then you see token as your product and halas, your job is done. That's not like that. Like in Web2 companies, when you issue your stock, you have fundamental business model to back why the stock price need to go up. You have like deliver, I don't know if it's listed, but you have like Uber, right? So you have like, drivers working to drive the Uber price up. And you have proper business models to support that stock price. So in the token market, the fundamentals are getting there. So you need to, when you look at project, try to ask, right? What's your monetization strategy? What's your business model? When you capture users, how are you gonna capture users, and how are you gonna capture the traffic, and then how are you gonna generate revenue for your business? So I think that will be the key narrative for the next bull run. That project need to have sustainable business model to support their token price. Otherwise, if it's bull market, everyone is happy, and it's bear market, everyone dies. So that's very unhealthy. But now if you have proper business model, you can better go against the seasonality of the crypto cycle. Yeah, love to hear your thoughts as well.
I think. No, I was going to say that additional to that, I think there's going to be very strong competition when it comes to user experience. And I think that part of the next bull run is going to have to do a lot with users interacting or using the blockchain in the background without really realizing that they're using it. So there are a lot of use cases that we can think of, like, for example, NFT ticketing platforms for events. For the end users, they don't care really what blockchain they're using. It's just going to be a ticket for them. So I think that that's going to have a lot of weight into which platforms really take off next bull run.
No, I think I absolutely agree with what you said. I think the invisible, seamless Web3 experience is what is going to push the next narrative. Obviously, a sustainable business model is how it should have always been run. But I think, in a bull run, um, logic kind of takes a backseat. It's more like to do with emotions, and so is it with bear. But I think in bear, people get their senses a little back. It's not just the narrative that you can build on and perhaps sustain your business. You have to actually build and show some sustainable proof, or like a revenue model, something that will actually sustain a real business. Because even though Web3 is in its infancy and it's still growing in different directions like an amoeba, but Web2 fundamentals remain the same, right? The business fundamental remains the same. That the UI experience should be seamless. It should be solving a real problem. There should be a revenue model, because that's ultimately how you create a business. You can't create a business out of thin air just because you have a token. Like, that doesn't work. And I think more than any time, ever in any cycle, in a bear run, that is when you realize who are the actual business builders, and who are just the people who are just like sort of perhaps not really building anything substantial, and they're just living off their token.
Right, I agree with you 100% that the token is not the product. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a one piece of advice I give to founders. Your token is not your product. It's a beginning of the journey. It's the beginning of the grind. Yeah. So yeah, like another bull narrative. Recent bull narrative would be from me. Yeah. I think it's a move ecosystem. For example, you see Aptos, you see Zhou, taking off. And I think they are gonna be popular for quite a while. They're gonna be the hottest kid in the kindergarten, because if you look at like Move, it's developed by Meta team, like Facebook team, and Facebook is a big application, and the Move language is built for applications of that caliber. So I think they are in a very good position to attract big applications to build on them. And now there's a formula for success of this layer one project. If you look at Solana, it's a combination of capital injection by guys like SPF, Solana, like Jump, FTX, and then it's a fundamental technology, and the totally is decent. And then the community hype, the business development aspect. So if you look at Aptos, they have all the recipe, and it's just the narrative is stronger because the DM project is actually developed by hundreds of top tier engineers from Silicon Valley, from the States. So yeah, I think they do have a potential to be really popular at the end of the year or next bull run. Yeah. So yeah, that's some narrative that we think we have. And then some spicy question. Yeah. So now we are in a bear market. So I would like to ask our panelists, right? Apart from BTC or ETH, is there just pick one or two or three coins that you want to hold for the next 5 years? All coins, not stable coins. Yeah, Fernando.
I think that after what happened in May with the UST collapse, the liquidity crunches, and there was many centralized CeFi platforms that had certain bad practices, the market erased them. And I think that enabled FTX and Binance to take a bigger chunk of the pie. So I think my conviction is on BNB, because one, they are centralized and they have a strong war chest to go through this bear market. So I think that as a platform, Binance and FTX are going to lead the next bull run. Aside from that, I think Matic, Polygon, and Near, I'm biased, but but I think that they have very strong business development place and partnerships that they're doing in the right places with Starbucks, Disney, Meta, Twitter, and I think that that's definitely going to drive adoption.
So he took all of my answers, but I was about to say VNV as well. Obviously, Polygon. That's very obvious. They are doing some really incredible work. I also do. I'm a little biased towards Near. I have been a part of their accelerator, like as a mentor. So I'm very, very biased towards the kind of startups that they're bringing in, the token itself, and the power of that ecosystem. I think honestly, I will hold on to any token that is. Creating some tangible value for their ecosystem partners. I think partnerships become really big because Web3 is all about collaboration. Nobody's starting from scratch. Everybody is sort of sharing the technology. It's open source, and you're building on top of one another. So any token that is unlocking value in terms of the kind of ecosystem that it's building, I think I'm very bullish on that. So yeah, I think these were the top three that I had in mind. I do think that there are quite a few projects that are building some incredible ecosystems. Ferrum is building a lot of good products, and so that I feel very bullish about the founders there. Also, a paid network, what they have done and built, and the kind of value that they bring to their ecosystem partners. That is something I do envy quite a bit. I think that it's difficult to create that kind of community and to have that kind of to be able to leverage all your partners and deliver value at every end. I think that is something that's very precious. So these are projects that I'm usually very bullish about. It's not so much the projects, it's more like I am really betting on the infrastructure, the ecosystem, and the founders who have like a really fabulous vision. Having said that, none of this is financial advice. I always like giving that disclaimer. I think anybody investing or putting in their money in any altcoin or even stable coins, you are the only person who knows your risk appetite. So invest only what you can afford to lose.
What do you think, Belinda?
I didn't get your pick, Tarusha. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, OKX is there, Binance is there, FTT is there, everyone. Yeah, actually, I totally agree with you guys. BNB, like exchange tokens, is my pick for bear market because exchange tokens have proper business model, which fits my narrative of sustainable business. And then another two picks is Uni from Uniswap and ENS from ENS domains. But the two projects need to work on better in token utility and also value accrual. But I think they have the potential they for sure will resurrect from the next bull run. Yeah. And then in the interest of time, I would love to ask for a piece of advice for from our two panelists, like how are newbies gonna make it in the crypto market? So yeah, keep it short and sweet, Fernando.
Well, I think it's a lot easier to learn right now in the bear market because there is a lot less noise, and the people that can position themselves for the next bull run are going to have a huge advantage that you would otherwise be coming in to buy expensive to sell more expensive. So I think that right now is the best time to learn.
I kind of concur with what Fernando said. I think this is like a very good time to get into the space because there is less noise, and you can really focus on building. People who are just getting into it, getting into Web3, I would suggest that again. Don't let the narratives bog you down that okay, this is like the bear market, and what's the point perhaps, and wait a little while perhaps when things are looking up. As he said that this is perhaps the best time to get in because once the bull cycle runs, it's perhaps more expensive and there is much more noise to actually get into the space. I do feel strongly that I think Web3 is going to be the future, right? So all of us are here because we believe that Web3 is the future. So I think any time is a good time to get in. We are still very early. If you really have sound, business fundamentals, if you really have a vision, it shouldn't just be about a token. Anybody can build a token. It should be about creating a problem and why, blockchain is solving it. And if you are able to justify that to yourself, then this is the best time to build.
Awesome, awesome. And for me, I think pretty much agree with our two panelists. And then the key, because I've been in the industry for over 5 years, so I've seen many people who made it and then who lost it and who made it again. So I think the key is to find your area of interest, deep dive into it, learn as much as possible, and try to contribute it either generate content, videos, or like anything that will like have no shelf life, right? And that will really position you well when you look for jobs, or when you try to contribute to a DAO, or to any organizations or people you want to pitch to. So find your area of focus and then try to be good at it. And maybe like advice number 2, don't trade on futures. No matter how rich you like how rich you are, like you can lose everything. You can blow up trading futures. You see what happened to Three Arrow. It's a painful lesson for everyone in the market. So yeah, try to do more risk control. It's very important. And thirdly, like really also build a healthy mindset, a healthy body. So when the bull market runs, you don't have to sleep. So you can just focus on, finding the next gem for the market. But very, very importantly, take good care of yourself. Be mentally and physically prepared for the bull run. Yeah. All right. I think that pretty much concludes the session for today. Thank you everyone for attending the next bull run session. And thank you, Fernando and Tarusha. And if you have any questions or you want to communicate further, feel free to find us on the stage. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.